Hi I'm Stef Sanjati, welcome to my home. First and foremost, what I want to say is how excited I am that this video is sponsored by Bethesda. That is a literal dream collaboration for me. I feel so honored and so excited, and I'm so thrilled about the game that I'm going to talk to you about today. I will be streaming their new game, Starfield, as of Thursday, August 31st at 12 p.m. Eastern on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Stef Sanjati. Starfield is available starting September 1st for people that have purchased the Starfield Premium Edition, and will be available to everybody else as of September 6th when the game fully launches for PC and Xbox. That means my streams will start 8 hours ahead of the global early access release, so if you want to get a glimpse at the game as soon as possible, I hope you'll join me on my Twitch channel, join me by the campfire, and enjoy you some gorgeous Starfield. I am a super passionate lover of Bethesda games, and Starfield is something I have been really looking forward to for a very long time. I was there at E3 2018 when it was announced, and I have just been building an excitement since then. 5 years, y'all! I have a ton of magical wonder in my heart for the experience that I know I'm going to have. And if you're familiar with Bethesda games and you've played them your whole life like I have, I think you know what I'm talking about. But if you're unfamiliar, you have such an experience in store for you. And I invite you humbly to find out exactly what I mean. Today, I'm going to put on this Starfield-inspired look. We've got the white and the blue, yellow, orange, red stripe, the constellation color palette going on with the eyeliner. There's some glitter to resemble the stars. And while I put this makeup on, I'm going to be talking to you about my history with Bethesda games, why these games are so magical and important to people, including myself, and why you should look into them for yourself, including Starfield. And if you are just getting into gaming, let me tell you, you are really lucky if Starfield is one of your first games, because it's going to be so good. I'm also going to be talking to you just purely about what I'm looking forward to doing in the game, because of course, that is super key. I hope throughout the video you'll feel the love that I have for this studio, their games, and I hope you'll join me for an adventure in the stars on Thursday and beyond. Without further ado, let's get started. I'm just gonna jump right in. I'm not gonna be going into detail about what products I'm using because I have so much to say about Starfield and Bethesda games that if I did, we'd be here all day long, and I want to dish about the games. So let's start by talking about my history with Bethesda games and where this journey of love began. So this all started for me as a kid with Morrowind. Morrowind came out in 2002. I was like 6 years old, 7 actually, maybe 8, who knows. And it was unlike anything I had ever seen before. I had encountered fantasy, but Morrowind had a special brand of fantasy that was really alien because it focused on a non-human race's homeland as the setting. And they really leaned into that, and it felt really unique. And I was really blown away and taken by that alien landscape, the mushrooms, the creatures. Oh my goodness, it just captivated me more than anything I'd ever seen. And in particular, I was really fascinated with how I could be creative with the game and how every adventure felt new and different. Every time I started the game, I could go through that intro sequence and build a different character. And unironically, that game taught me to spell as a child. 7 or 8 years old, reading these enormous blocks of fantasy writing text, definitely not meant for a 7-year-old to read. I quickly realized that these games were more than just entertainment, because spelling was something that as a kid I really struggled with up until I played Morrowind and other RPGs in that time period. And suddenly I went from really struggling with that to having kind of a ridiculous vocabulary for a child. I also spent a ton of time in the creation kit building houses in different places. They were not well built. There was seams, you could see through them into the void of nothingness, but I loved doing it, and I had a blast learning how to work with game engine tools at a super young age. It just made it really accessible, and the whole thing from gameplay to mods to creation kit was all rooted in creativity, and that was really special for me. It was also my first real encounter with the concept of world building, where I got to see someone's creative ideas really translate into something I could experience and explore. And this only really accelerated when it came to Oblivion, which took a really different approach to the setting with a lot more of a Tolkien-esque vibe. Castles, nobles, horses and steeds. Oblivion came out in 2006. I was somewhere like 11 or 12 years old at that time. And I always loved coming home from school and diving into another classical fantasy adventure. I in particular loved the Dark Brotherhood, the Thieves Guild, the Grey Fox. With the introduction at this point in the Bethesda game history of tons of voice acting, every single character you met was voice acted. It took that immersion up to another level, and I began seeing it as a simulation for life and for learning and for exploring concepts. You know, I can't say I thought a whole lot about judicial processes as a kid before playing Oblivion and getting arrested a whole bunch of times.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
And as a child gamer, I began to understand these deeper RPG systems like class choice, skills, major skills, minor skills, crafting, and roleplay as well. You know, I realized, okay, this isn't just mindlessness. If I'm playing an assassin, I should dress like an assassin. I should operate like an assassin. I should interact with the world like an assassin. What does that mean? What does that look like? And that really started a deep love of role-playing and role-playing games that persists, of course, to this very moment. And what I find really fascinating is that these initial childhood formative experiences with world building and character building would eventually lead me to my deep passion for those things, environmental storytelling, and right into my career in the games industry as a narrative designer and as a hobbyist environmental designer. I really love that I can trace that all back to doodling my dark elf stealth archer Oblivion character in the margins of my notes in elementary school. I would daydream, you know, armors and outfits and weapons that they would wield, and when I was supposed to be doing math, I would be doing world building. I guess either way, I was learning skills at school. This love was so strong that when Skyrim was announced, it was the first single-player game that I had become aware of that I was building anticipation for independently of, say, my older brother, who usually would introduce me to the games that I loved. Skyrim was the first one where I found out about that myself, and I followed it online until release. I knew when it was releasing. I was a fanatic. So that was 2011, and I remember I was in 11th grade, and I was a big art student in high school. I remember being in the art room and talking to my friends about Skyrim and how I was going to stay home from school on the 11th of November 2011, and I was going to play Skyrim on release day, and my parents were letting me stay home. They were very supportive of my love of gaming. I didn't stay home all the time, but if there was a major gaming release, they understood. And I give them a ton of credit for that. And I remember I was talking so loud the entire room could hear me, and people from across the room were looking at me either like I was a little silly or like they thought that my excitement was infectious. Either way, I'm proud of it. And to this day, I've played Skyrim for 12 years. Off and on over the years, I've played all of the Elder Scrolls and Fallout games, but Skyrim has stayed with me the longest. And most recently, I even revisited it, played with my partner with some amazing mods, Skyrim Together, for example, with the Anniversary Edition, and it was just incredible playing it on survival mode. There's always a new way to go back and reapproach a Bethesda game, and I wouldn't be surprised if I continue to play Skyrim for another decade. On the note of Fallout, I loved the Fallout games, but I can't deep dive into every single one, otherwise we're gonna be here all day, and I want to talk about Starfield, but I will share a core memory with Fallout 4. That was the first Bethesda game that came out when I was an adult and I moved out on my own, and I was so excited, for the same reason I'm excited here, because I knew I loved those games. And on release day, I booked work off, and I played it from midnight, the release time, midnight, to the following midnight. I played it 24 hours straight. I ordered in Chinese food, and I played Fallout 4 for 24 hours straight. And I am so glad I did that. It is such a treasured memory for me. And I still listen to the music from Fallout 4, Far Harbor, Skyrim especially, to this day on an almost daily basis. I fall asleep to Skyrim Tavern ambience every single night. Nothing works better for me. It's just so evocative of the feelings that the game creates for you when you're there, the rest of a tavern. And I can't wait to see in Starfield what music and environment is gonna bring me in there like that. I know there's gonna be something like that. Now, as far as anticipating Starfield, I was actually there at E3 in 2018 when it was announced at the Bethesda showcase. I was actually brought there by Microsoft Canada, and it was my first real foray into gaming as a creator. It was a magical experience. It was so cool. I wish I could go back, but E3 is no longer a thing. However, I will happily enjoy Xbox Bethesda game showcases for the rest of time, no matter where they take place. And at the time, we really didn't see much of the game. We just saw the title and a satellite, an image of a satellite, and some incredible vibes, some immaculate vibes. So I mean, I buckled my seatbelt up right then and there. And it was really exciting as a lover of Bethesda games, knowing that I've had these experiences with the post-apocalyptic world of Fallout and the fantasy world of Tamriel and the Elder Scrolls, knowing that they had something else in store for the future, another amazing world that I could fall in love with in a different way. I had really never been interested in sci-fi like that, but in the years that would follow, I became introduced to so many amazing science fiction films and games, and I could really see later where those things were influences on Starfield, and it just made me so excited to see such an amazing library of references and inspiration come together in a beautiful game. I'm so excited. How do I even talk right now? How do I even express myself? I don't know. Shall we shriek together? We may shriek privately, but just know I'm shrieking with you. And then in 2022, I was at one of the Xbox Fan Fest parties for the next Xbox Bethesda Games Showcase, and I got to see the gameplay reveal for Starfield. That's 4 years later, and it's still lingering there in my brain space. And it was really exciting for not only me, but the entire room to see gameplay of this game for the first time, of something completely new for BGS. And that was where personally I realized the game was a lot more horizontal, a lot more expansive than I was expecting. This isn't just, for example, Skyrim in space. And the reveals of things like spaceship customization, the deep companion stories, outposts, etc. Not to mention, the massive simulated universe, 1,000 explorable planets. Like finally at that time we had a scope for the game, and that was something we could speculate about and daydream about and dream about at night. And we did. In particular, I remember we got to see some of the sort of Western vibe Freestar Collective town, although we didn't have a ton of information about it yet. I just knew that I was gonna vibe with that. I love a good space cowboy Western kind of energy. The game world looked rich and alive, and I was so excited to see how it was going to shape up. So then come 2023 and the next Xbox Bethesda showcase with the Starfield Direct, this is where the bottle cap popped off for me. I was streaming coverage of the showcase, and I remember barely being able to contain myself. I was squirming in the seat. I could barely hold back from talking over the presentation. And I remember feeling such a genuine welling and childhood excitement that I hadn't felt really since waiting for Skyrim in high school. And that excitement where I just needed to talk about it. I just needed to share that excitement. And so rest assured, my partner has been hearing nonstop about my excitement for Starfield. And he is very on board with it. He's helping me produce the streams as usual, but he's really put in a ton of extra effort for these Starfield ones because he knows how much they mean to me. And I really appreciate that. I still feel that excitement right now. I feel like I'm tripping over my words. I've had to re-record myself a couple times. And I'm recording this 2 days before early access drops. And I'm still feeling it. I'm still feeling that excitement. But enough with the history. I want to talk to you about what I'm excited to see in game. First and foremost, I am really excited to play my first Bethesda Game Studio game with a fully formed prefrontal cortex. These games can be such great life simulators where you encounter moral dilemmas or cultural clashes and you have to make choices. And I'm excited to approach a game like this with a bit more wisdom because in the past, I've made some questionable choices. The Institute. I just really liked Science and Secrecy. Thank you, Ananzur, who by the way is the composer for this game as well, so it's gonna go off. I also found that Bethesda games were really integral to my exploration of self and my exploration of gender. And so as like a trans kid and a young trans woman, being able to make a future or, hypothetical version of yourself drop into a world and explore yourself was really, really powerful and key and effective and important. And this will be the first Bethesda game that will release since I've transitioned. And I'm really interested to see how it feels different for me going into that character creator with a very different understanding of who I am. So I plan on being a super cool space businesswoman. I am really interested in aligning with the Freestar Collective, but I don't know the full story yet, so we'll have to see. I want to build outposts on different worlds and extract resources, maybe manufacture some goods, and build up my revenue so that I can fund my crew, my ship, and my adventures in space. I don't really know how I'm gonna do my combat build yet. I'm not really thinking that far ahead yet. I just know I really like persuasion, commerce, and crafting skills. I wanna do the cooking. And I'm gonna be curious to see how this game, as opposed to the other Bethesda games, feels different in that way. It looks to me like there's a lot more opportunity for the businesswoman to get our hands dirty. But that's only one way to play. And I know people that want to be like full-on space pirates, calculating spaceship engineers, crackshot marksmen, sharpshooters, geologists, alien biologists, or criminals, or anything else. The possibilities are so flexible. I would love it if you tell me in the comments who you would want to play in Starfield. And if you don't know the options, because really none of us do until the game's released, give it a go anyway, and I will bet that it will be an option. Chances are it's possible. Now, I'd like to talk about why this is such an important and powerful and magical game for me and for many other people. And if you're not familiar with Bethesda games, I want to talk about why you should look into this game. Something I really cherish about Bethesda titles, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, is they don't demand your attention. And I'm sure Starfield will be no different. They don't demand your attention with flashing buttons or timers or FOMO, fear of missing out. Instead, they gently ask for your attention with an intriguing world and an intriguing story, and with a compelling invitation for you to step into that world and to stay there for a bit. There is a main story, but you're not forced into it. And lots of open world games say that, but then sometimes there's level gating where you can't proceed with the main story unless you complete, say, 20 optional objectives that are suddenly not optional because you have to do them in order to do the thing you want to do. Bethesda games don't do that. A good example would be, say, Skyrim. And to really simplify the intro to the game, you are a prisoner that escapes confinement because of an unexpected dragon attack. And the dragons are really the main thing in Skyrim. And the world will encourage you to explore that, but let's say you wander into Riverwood, one of the first towns that you'll encounter, and you are guided there. Not forced, but guided to help you. And you might encounter the blacksmith who teaches you how to craft gear, and you might decide you want to craft a full suit of iron armor. So you go to one of the nearby mines, and on the way, on the road, you meet a person, a traveler, who tells you a rumor about a child in a city far away that you've never been to, because you just started, who is trying to summon a secretive order of assassins, which I might have mentioned earlier. And you might decide that actually you want to go explore that rumor. So you travel all the way across the map, visiting different dungeons and towns and taverns on the way. Maybe you pick up a couple more side quests. And you eventually make your way to this city and you find this boy and discover that the rumors were right. And he is doing this. And you end up joining this Brotherhood of Assassins, traveling all across the province of Skyrim, performing different jobs, meeting different characters, full arcs, change the world irreversibly. And then you're 60 to 70 hours in, maybe even 100, and you realize you don't have a clue what the main story was. You don't really care because you're having an amazing experience and you can go back to that whenever you want. My partner, for example, started playing the game not right away in 2011, but not too soon after on the Xbox 360. And he always played the same character. Something people will do often with Bethesda games is they'll create a new character every once in a while and try something different. I was surprised when I met him that he didn't do that. He played the same character for like a decade and he never did the main quest. In 10 years, he loved this game. It left an incredible impression on him. He spent tons and tons and tons of hours in it, and he never did the main quest. And that didn't take away from his experience. In fact, being able to do what he wanted and really lean into the crafting, for example, was what made that game so incredible for him. At no point in a Bethesda game are you told in a direct or indirect way, no, you can't do that yet. You might not advance a quest line to a certain point to do a certain thing, but you can still go to a place. You can still see things, do things. And the gameplay options, the stories, and the quest lines are so vast and numbered that at no point do you feel like there's not enough to do, nor do you feel overwhelmed by objective markers. It is so well balanced in the middle of all of that. And what that comes down to, I think, is beautifully crafted immersion and really prioritizing that immersion for the gamer, for the audience, for the consumer. And Bethesda has spent decades mastering this with their games. And I feel like, now, no pressure, Todd Howard, but I feel like Starfield will be sort of a magnum opus of those skills and those teams building those immersive experiences. And I feel that when I listen to the music Shout out to Enanzur playing his heart out on the piano live at Gamescom 2023. That amazing Starfield suite, just amazing. There is soul in this game, and there always is with a Bethesda game, and that is so special. And in an era of gaming where every single title is trying to maximize your engagement and your playtime through psychological manipulation and currency extraction, Starfield will stand out as the experience that invites you to play because you want to, not because you'll miss out. And for that reason, you will fall in love with it. And I'll say, as a gamer that is very prone to not being super mindful while I'm gaming, Bethesda titles have never created that problem for me. When I play a game and there's like lists to check off or completion records, like you've done 5 out of 26 of these things, and then I have to go do all 26 of those things, Bethesda has never done that. And you get the opportunity to mindfully explore and discover, let's say 26 things that you can do in a place without it being a task. Instead, it's an adventure. And you know what? You might not get to do all of it, but you don't know that, and you don't care because you're having such an amazing immersive experience, and there's always an opportunity to go back and do it again. So all in all, I am so excited. I am so ready. And if you're still on the fence about what this game is, or if you're gonna be interested, come to my streams and discover it for yourself. Now, I've got some other really cool Starfield related things to put on to complete this look, so I will be right back with that. This is so beautiful. I knew the second I saw this headset and this controller at the Starfield Direct that like I was all in. Look at this amazing plastic on the triggers. It's like that translucent 90s plastic. I love it. It's so clean, and you can actually see that your ship controls are labeled on this controller, which is the coolest thing. I'm not normally a controller gal, I'm a keyboard and mouse gal, but I might have to play controller because look at this. Oh my goodness. And then with the headset, there's other cool features very similar to, say, the controller saying throttle, etc. Is on this side, you can adjust your volume between cockpit and comms, which is your in-game volume versus voice chat balance, which is just, the immersion, bringing it 4D. And then this side is just your straight volume adjustment if you need that. But look, they rotate. Hello? I just think it's really cool that they've taken the standard, Xbox controller and headset, and they've leveled it up in a really unique way that just fits the game so well. And I'm so excited that I get to have these both as a gamer and for the stream, so I can, fully immerse. And now let's talk about this jacket. I feel so lucky to have been sent this jacket by Bethesda. This is the Frontier Flight Crew jacket, and y'all can be part of my crew if you come to the streams. It's got some cool details. So first of all, of course, this embroidered Frontier Flight Crew element with the amazing Constellation color palette moment, which is the same thing that my eyes were inspired by. And then we have that again on this ribbon on the arm pocket, which is so gorge. We have the Starfield logo itself over here, which I think is also the Constellation logo in game. And then the back of the jacket, it outright says Starfield, y'all. Nobody's gonna make any mistake what I'm playing when I'm walking around in public wearing this jacket. So I love this. It's right in time for fall. I'm gonna wear the heck out of this. I love it so much. I might even wear it on stream if I don't get too hot from the excitement. Thank you so much for watching this Get Ready With Me, all about the excitement for Starfield. As a reminder, Starfield is available as of September 1st on PC or Xbox for people that have purchased the Starfield Premium Edition, and it will be available to everybody else on September 6th. I will be streaming the game starting August 31st at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, that's New York, Toronto time, and I would love for you to join me on this incredible adventure. I have huge plans for these streams, and it would mean a lot to me to share this game launch with people that are either excited for Starfield or people that have no idea what they're getting into, and they're gonna find out, because I bet you're gonna love it. Thanks again, folks. I really hope to see you over on my Twitch channel for these Starfield streams. You can also subscribe right here if you're interested in more gaming and beauty content. And until next time, just remember, games can offer a lot to us as people. Fun, certainly, but also self-reflection, growth, curiosity, adventure, joy, learning, and passion, and community. And I really hope you get to enjoy this as much as I do, and as much as I'm going to. Now, for all, into the Starfield. Mwah. For all, into the Starfield. I don't know the energy I'm supposed to have when I say that, but I know it's gonna kill when I find it in the game. And I'll be sure to say it like that when I find out the proper way. Okay.